Your life.
Okay. Oh, hey guys.
Can't talk louder than that.
Have talk louder?
Yeah. So I say, hey guys, it's McNeil, and
This is Anna from Brampton.
from Louison Automotive, or Louison.
Louison. I'd like to clarify our name. It is Louison. We say Louison because all the English
Villagers call us Louison.
call us Louison, but it's in fact pronounced Louison. So.
Because we are the Fossé. I speak no French.
He speaks no Francais. Yeah. No Francais. Yes.
So, what are we
Anyway,
going to talk about today?
So today we're talking about how to understand your repair bill from when a mechanic, hands over your bill.
Maybe you mean the estimate, because before it's a bill, it's an estimate. So how do you understand your estimate that they give you so you can save money on that?
So before you get a bill, you should be 100% provided with an estimate, correct? All the time?
Technically. Technically, yes.
So you provide your customers with an estimate at Louison Automotive?
Yes.
Okay.
Today we're going to be talking about how to save money in your auto repair bill. In order to do that, you need to understand your estimate, because you would get an estimate from your shop before it's a bill.
Right.
So your estimates are supposed to have a breakdown. I think that's according to the consumer protection, right? You're supposed to have your parts and your labor separate.
Correct.
And once you understand your bill, understand what the parts and labor is, then you can figure out how to save money by, shopping around for your own parts, for example. Now, there are going to be pros and cons of doing that, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But when you get that bill, or that, I guess that estimate, right?
Yep, the estimate.
So, when you get that estimate, generally speaking, your mechanic or your service attendant always make it seems like, hey, you got to fix this now, or you're going to die. Well, technically, right?
That's true.
You get that...
sense of urgency to, you got to do it today, right now.
Right.
Make a decision right now.
But ask yourself, if I didn't come into the shop today for that oil change, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would stay one more day without fixing that thing, whatever that thing is, right?
Exactly.
Now, it doesn't mean you got to put it off for like months on end. I'm just saying you can take one day to stomach it, think about it, understand your bill, and decide what's the best affordable or economical way for you to fix that.
Exactly. You can think about it.
Yes.
You can think about it. You can, decide whether you want to, what are the costs for the parts? Well, maybe, I can source out my own parts if you, are savvy that way.
That, yeah.
Exactly.
And about sorting your own parts out, that would be where I guess some of that savings could be. But because like in everything in life, right? You put the time into it, you will save money.
Exactly.
If you don't have the time, then you can still do research to know that you're not getting hosed. But at the end of the day, if you understand, the service shops are technically parts places as well. They make a profit on the parts.
Yeah.
So if you can get the part out cheaper than your mechanic is offering, I'm sure you should be able to do some sort of a price match.
Exactly.
Because it's kind of nice for the mechanic to do everything, because it's easier to warranty the job. If you were to go ahead and give your own parts...
Wait, so pause. So once the mechanic is the one who's actually physically working in your car, they actually do offer warranty on the parts?
Yes.
But if I were to buy my own parts, I don't get that part warranty?
Well, you get the parts warranty from whoever you bought the part from. So you didn't buy the part from your mechanic. So then the fact that you include a third party into your, thing there, it's easy for them to play the blame game. Well, it's not me, it's the part. It's the part you provided me, right? So,
I
see.
I see. So when you give the part to the mechanic and there's something wrong with the part, the mechanic can easily blame the part before.
Exactly. So shopping around, if you buy the part yourself, then you're giving yourself that little bit of a hiccup, right? That the possibility of playing he say, she say, we say.
So
it's not my part.
In a nutshell, you can source out your own parts, but give your mechanic a chance to match whatever savings you find in your parts. It's just easier that way. Get your parts let the mechanic source the part, but if you want a better price on it, show him the price that you sourced, and let your mechanic match whatever parts pricing.
And then rewinding a little bit to make it clear, we're not saying if your mechanic say your car needs something and you feel unsafe doing it, you have to drive unsafe driving the car. You have to drive the car away and say, well, I'll do it tomorrow. If you feel unsafe because he makes it sound very urgent, you got to do it now, or it's really not safe, you can leave the car at his shop. You can, most mechanics allow you to leave the car there and say, okay, you know what, I'll take an Uber home, I'll take a bus home, but I'll call you tomorrow with my decision. I got to discuss it with my family. I'm gonna fix it, but I just have to, talk to my family, figure out how I'm gonna get that money for you,
right.
And then I'll get back in touch with you tomorrow. So that way you're not driving the car that you think is unsafe, to be clear. But when you go home and you read that estimate, you could now call around and see how much a part is gonna cost you. That's where I'm getting at. So you want to make sure you understand like what's the quality of the part. Is the OEM part? OEM would means like the like same as the manufacturer specifications. So there's like aftermarket parts, there's OEM parts. You could basically get. Make sure it's the same type of quality, because for example, a brake pad can range from maybe $20 all the way up to $150, right? So it all depends on the quality of part you get. So if you're a stickler on having your car working, better than everybody else on, you know what I mean? Like, I would say the best thing for you is to buy your own parts, no matter the cost, because at least you know what part and what quality parts on your car.
That's true.
So if it's just driving an average whatever car and you're just taking it to work, whatever, I mean, you can use a mechanic's part. I'm sure it's fine because he'll be able to warranty it. But if you're the kind of car guy or girl who just wants
you have zero trust in anybody and you're worried that, oh well, if I use a mechanic's part, he's going to take an old part from his shop, because some people,
or a cheaper grade, a cheaper quality part,
right?
So you could pay for like a ceramic and he gives you a cheap pad, right? So just buy your own parts and be like, here you go, and you can have trust in your parts because you know that you bought a good brand or good part, right? And say, here you go, I'm going to supply the part, and then you just do your labor, right? Now, if you do it that way, if you use a local neighborhood shop, I'm sure you could ask them to pay the taxes for you if you were to pay cash, right? So you just let them know that I'll pay cash, so I don't want to pay the HST, you pay the HST. You know what I mean? No invoice. They'll figure out their own taxes. That's not your problem. At least a little bit cheaper for you as well. Again, part of all the discussion we're saying about savings, again, understanding that bill. So we understand the parts.
The parts. Yeah.
Do you want to explain how the labor is generally calculated?
So labor is basically the time it takes for the mechanic to, I guess, fix whatever's wrong with your car. So every shop will have an hourly rate, and the hourly rate should be posted. So when if you're going to a mechanic shop for the first time, or you're testing out like a small guy across the street or whatever, you ask what his hourly rate is. If it's not obviously posted, ask. I don't know, what is generally,
so like
our hourly rate at Louison Automotive is $80 an hour.
I think Canadian Tire is probably like 99 or 105 something an hour.
Right.
Some of the bigger franchise ones would be like up to even $150 an hour or more, right?
Right.
Smaller shops and ours would probably even charge $65 an hour, right? So you can shop around the hourly rate of the shop. Now, the most shops should charge you the same hours, right?
Right.
Because we all use a similar program to do an estimate.
Like, in other words, if I need to get my brakes and rotors fixed, that hourly rate should be the same across any shop I go to?
Yes, generally.
Right.
So, I mean, it could plus or minus 0.5 or something, half an hour, because of your car. If we put it in the system, and the system says that the system that most mechanic shops use, and good, credible mechanic shop would use it, it would say 2 hours, for example, for the job. But if I look at your car or the age and model, I figure it might be rusty, it might be more difficult to work on, I can probably charge 2.5 hours. Right? Because remember, the hourly rate is just suggested, so it will be ballpark the same, and then it'll be times whatever that hourly rate is. Right? Another way to negotiate the mechanic is possibly, and especially if you provide your own parts and you are paying cash, you may be able to negotiate a little bit on the hourly rate, because the hours are the hours is what's fair in the industry for him to do the job. So if he says 2 hours,
it's probably hard to do though, because if you think about you as a person who has a job, that's basically that's the salary you're paying the mechanic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, you're asking somebody to negotiate, like, today, instead of getting $60 an hour, is it okay if you can work for $40 an hour?
Well, if you're nice about it, I mean, the most you can say is I can't. I'm just saying,
right, okay.
if you're not gonna be a stickler about it, or be a dick about it, and be like, hey, you have to do this,
Right.
or nobody's obligated to do anything.
So there's like a manner, in negotiating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I've already, you see, if the mechanic is doing an official estimate for you, like an official invoice, so he has his parts on it, his labor, his shop supply, he's just going and print it off of the computer. It's kind of hard to negotiate that, because that computer says you pay X.
Right.
You've already done the legwork. You've already provided your part. You've already, willing to pay cash. There's no invoice, no paper trail, basically.
Right.
He can round off, is what I'm saying. So if he was going to charge you 2 hours and he's $80 an hour, that means that's what, $160, right? So I'm sure if you within reason say I got $150 cash, would you consider doing the job?
Right.
He probably will not say no. You know what I mean? So I'm saying within reason, and even if he says no and say, well, I think 160 is fair. Keep in mind you're saving the taxes, and you also. He didn't make any money on the parts, so it's just both showing the flexibility, and
right.
you can both save some money.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
So
in a nutshell, look at your estimate, take your time, don't feel like you gotta pull the trigger right away in deciding that your car has to get fixed. Take your time, review your estimate. If you want to do some homework and you have time and you want to put the effort into sourcing your own parts, sounds like that's probably the biggest part of the bill that you can save money on, is sourcing your own parts.
Yep.
And then the other part of the bill is the mechanic's labor rate. And again, the bigger savings are probably at the, sourcing your own parts. If you're comfortable using the mechanic's parts, show the mechanic, the pricing that you got on the part. Let the mechanic choose the part, or if you want to just bring the part yourself.
That way you know what quality parts you have. That's a good point.
Yeah. And then on the labor, just gently, maybe round up or round down the labor rate, but
within reason.
Be respectful about it, because it is the mechanic needs to make a living too, so you don't want to be gouging.
Yeah. And then just another key point to end on. Just keep in mind that most mechanics, trusted mechanics, will not suggest something that your car doesn't need. So a way to save money is not putting off that repair and not doing it. Okay.
And a good mechanic will show you too.
Yes.
They're not just going to blindly say the car needs X, Y, and Z. It's like, come, let me show you. Let me show you why your car needs, new brake pads, or
exactly.
I'm always talking about brakes because that's all I know.
Well, yes. So exactly. So he should show you what the car needs. So don't think that he's fishing.
Right.
If he says you need it, most mechanics would be honest about that stuff. You try to find an affordable way to do it, but you need to do it. Right. So again, hopefully that was informative, and good luck with your repairs. Just let
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.